all those queries, the workloads can be handled in parallel. So because Snowflake can scale up and scale down on demand capacity, data teams in usually big companies, they no longer need to run upfront capacity planning exercises because everything is scale up and scale down on demand. You can add resources, you can share down the resources, so on and so forth, right? So it drastically reduces the cost of the business. It improves the quality of the data. Also, it increases the efficiency of your data applications. So, and on the top of that, we have many advantages of going on Snowflake. There are many features of Snowflake, such as you can go for time travel, we have fail-safe, we do have secure data sharing, you can perform data cloning, so you can perform a lot of disaster recovery strategies as well on the Snowflake. Just to name a couple of them, that really makes it one of the most advanced, most sorted technology in today's complex data industry. So talking a little further, this is just a screenshot of what Snowflake is capable of doing in general. So Snowflake is a software as a service, as what we discussed. And the backend for the Snowflake could be either GCP, AWS, or Azure. These are the major cloud providers. They do provide infrastructure. So Snowflake actually relies on these cloud providers for setting up the infrastructure. So whenever you create a brand new Snowflake account, you have to pick and choose the appropriate cloud provider which you want to go. And accordingly, you will be charged based on the services, based on the region. So essentially speaking, you can actually ingest data into Snowflake platform from various different data sources. Let it be OLTP operational databases. It could be an enterprise data warehouse. It could be third-party application from which you are getting raw data. It could be weblog analytics data. It could be Internet of Things data, connected devices data. Whatever the data that you might be getting from various data sources, you can ingest that data into Snowflake using various ETL tools. To name few, maybe it can use SSIS, ADF. Snowflake also has its own proprietary data ingestion tool called Snowpipe. So you can also create a Snowpipe accordingly. And that data, when it goes to the Snowflake, actually is stored in any of the backend, cloud provider of your choice. And that data then can be used for various data engineering applications. You can build a data lake on the top of it. You can have a dimensional data warehouse for better analytical purposes. That data can be used for data science purposes, so on and so forth. And then you can discharge that data to your consumers, can be used for data monetization, can be used for operational reporting, day-to-day reporting purposes. You can use various reporting tools such as Power BI, Tableau to connect to Snowflake and create business interactive reports. Can be also used for ad hoc analysis by writing SnowSQL queries, and you can perform really real-time analytics. So at the end of the day, as mentioned, Snowflake is acting as a repository, as a one-stop solution to store all your business data, and can be accessed efficiently because of certain advanced features that we cannot run through in some time. So that is what is Snowflake in a nutshell. Has many advanced features and is very, very commonly used currently in the heavy data industry, in an industry that needs a lot of data, that has a lot of data for processing. So let's quickly run through various Snowflake editions. So we have primarily three different editions of Snowflake. There is one more called Virtual Private. But whenever we create a new Snowflake account, when you sign up for a new Snowflake account, there will be three various editions available. It will be Standard, Enterprise, and Business Critical. And the fourth one, which is Virtual Private, also called Business Critical Plus, is not directly available on the Snowflake website. If you want to go for the Virtual Private one, then you have to reach out to Snowflake, which offers the highest level of security. And this edition, as said, is available only if you reach out to the company and give you requirements so they can set up a private environment, Snowflake environment for your business. So the Standard edition is an introductory level edition. Obviously it will cost you the least. But in this edition, you have all the standard features. However, if you need some additional features for large scale company, if you have a lot of data coming up, if you need more advanced features, then obviously you can also go for Enterprise edition. If you need further more levels of data protection, if you're dealing with very sensitive data, obviously we have Business Critical. That could be an addition for you then. And as said, Virtual Private Edition has the highest level of security with fastest performance. And then usually there are very limited institutions that would go for it. It is pretty expensive. As I said, you would have a separate, complete environment on Snowflake. So for the industries like financial industries or healthcare industries where data is very sensitive and performance is the priority, such kind of institutions might go for virtual private. But in general, for a normal business, enterprise would be a good one. It has a good balance of features and costing. Business critical can also be, we can also go for business critical just in case if you need higher level of data protection. So, being that said, these are the additions and these are the features that comes with all of these additions. So, um, standard editions comes with all the generic features. So you can have complete SQL data warehouse. You can have a dedicated warehouse that guarantees a very high uptime. So and then you can also have various different compute resources, storage resources. So on the top of that, we have automatic data encryption. We can also perform time travel feature in the standard edition as well, which is one of the key feature of Snowflake. The only thing is that in the case of time travel, you have only up to 1 day. So that means you can go only 1 day in the past and see your transactions and your data, which is not that much actually for a regular business. Obviously, you might want to go for enterprise in that case. Well, on the top of that, we also have secured shared data for standard edition, and Snowflake data platform, and you can get 24/7 premier support for standard as well. However, if you need more features, we can go for enterprise. So enterprise edition has all the features for standard, and on the top of that, you'll also have multi-clustering, which is one of the classic feature of Snowflake. And you can go for auto scaling capacity of multi-clustering warehouse, where Snowflake can automatically create, an additional virtual warehouse for workloads, just in case if you are experiencing a lot of traffic, then your enterprise edition virtual warehouse can auto scale up and then take care of your incoming queries. On the top of that, if you look at it, we have a time travel feature as well here, but that is up to 90 days. So you can go back 3 months, and then you can look at your data in context to your history. So we can also create materialized views, and there are many more advanced features in enterprise edition. If that is not enough, then if you have requirement for more sensitive data, then we can as well go for business critical edition, where you have all the features of enterprise, plus on the top of that you have various security features, such as we have data encryption. We can go for extended support for all the encrypted data. We have TDE, data encryption standards as well. Also, we can have various failure and disaster recovery strategies that we can implement in business critical. And the last one, which is the highest level, as what we discussed, is business critical plus, also called virtual private, where you just have to call Snowflake and they will be creating a dedicated virtual servers for you in a completely separate Snowflake environment. So every feature comes with its every edition comes with its own features, and obviously you're going to be charged based on which edition you go, what features you used. It is just pay as you go model. So being that said, let's talk about the Snowflake pricing, in a sense, like how does Snowflake charge their customer, right? So if you are working on a Snowflake environment, it is critically important for us to understand how the pricing model works and how do we actually calculate the cost of using Snowflake. So in the case of Snowflake, we have 4 different editions, and as we said, and one of the primary striking thing about Snowflake is Snowflake has decoupled compute from storage. That means you won't be charged for both. It all depends whether you are just using compute. That means you are just storing your data. Then you're gonna be just charged for the storage. If you are just using the processing, you're gonna be just charged for the compute. So that is also usually in the case of pricing. So in Snowflake, we pay for what we need, and this gives us a scalable amount of storage as well as compute resources at an affordable price tag. Also, it is important to understand that the pricing depends on the region and the platform. So depending upon whether you use Azure as a backend platform AWS or GCP, the pricing could be different. It also depends on which regions you decide to store your backend data. Also, what is your availability zone? But a lot of factor goes into play before you come up with the final cost. But then, yes, the compute and storage, these are two different scenarios that you will be charged. So let's first consider the storage. So in this case of the storage, you're going to be storing your data into a cloud provider of your choice. So we are charged monthly storage fee that is based on the average storage used per month, and it's important that this cost is calculated after hybrid columnar storage compression. That means all your data that you're going to be storing into Snowflake will be well compressed and will be actually stored onto the infrastructure of the backend cloud provider. On the other side, we also have the compute cost. You'll be charged based on how much of workload that you're using, how much compute resources you're using, how much of virtual warehouses, and what is the size of those warehouses. So you are charged only for active warehouses. That means if you are not getting any traffic for, let's say, 15, 20, 30 minutes or an hour, you can, basically deactivate, or, it can shut down your warehouse, and you won't be charged for that. So only you'll be charged for the active queries that are running on the warehouse, that are running per hour, and this is billed by seconds with minimum of 1 minute. So the pricing for the compute depends on the size of the warehouse. So you can pick and choose different sizes depending upon how complex your workload is, and depending upon how much of your workload is. There are various sizes available. You can go for extra small. You can go for small. The next step is medium, large, extra large. You can go for twice extra large, and it just keeps on adding up depending upon your requirement. So yes, so Snowflake does charges for storage and compute, but these are charged separately depending upon your requirements. So if you plan to go for using Snowflake, it is important that you won't be charged directly in dollars or euros, but you'll be charged in something called Snowflake credit. What it means is that you first have to exchange your money for Snowflake credit, and then depending upon whatever the services that you use, these Snowflake credits will be consumed. Like for example, if you have an extra small virtual warehouse, it will cost you one Snowflake credit for 1 hour. So if your warehouse compute power is actively processing the queries for 1 hour, it will charge you one Snowflake credit, which is equivalent to few dollars, or few euros, depending upon which edition that you use for Snowflake, right? So this is a rough pricing of Snowflake. Again, it may change as per the region, as per the platform. This is just a sample example, just in case if I pick AWS as a platform with Frankfurt as a region, then for the standard edition, you'll be charged about $2.70 per Snowflake credit. Same thing, $4 per credit. For business critical, obviously, is going to be more expensive. And virtual private, they will be giving the code. The Snowflake is going to give you the code depending upon your requirements. So as said, you have to exchange your dollar or euros or whatever the currency for Snowflake credit, and depending upon what are the requirement, you'll have to, your Snowflake credit will be consumed based on which region and what platform you use. So we have various different sizes of warehouses. These are your computational power. So depending upon the size of the query, depending upon the complexity of the query, you can pick and choose the appropriate size of the warehouse. The smallest size, as said, is extra small, which comes with one warehouse that would consume one Snowflake credit for 1 hour, billed per minute, billed per second with minimum of 1 minute. If you think that you would be experiencing more complicated queries or workload, if you have too much of data to process, then extra small may not be good enough for you. You might want to go for the bigger warehouse. The next step is smaller, which comes with two warehouses. That would charge you 2 credits, Snowflake credit per hour. Next is medium, which comes with 4 warehouses, and you can just scale up depending upon your requirement. The larger the size of the warehouse, the more the credits that will be used per hour. And as discussed, every credit comes with $2, $3, depending upon which edition that you have used. As said, it's not like 1 hour in a sense like one static hour. It depends on 1 hour of when your virtual warehouse is active. If it is not active, then it is suspended for that time frame. So that's how the computational power pricing is being calculated. When it comes to storage, we have two different options. Either we can go for on-demand storage, which means you could pay for what you are using, or else you have another choice where you can go for capacity storage. That means you pay upfront for a predefined stored storage capacity. So let's take a quick scenario here. Imagine that you are creating a solution on Snowflake, and you think that you need 1 TB of storage. That's what your thought process is like. Oh, I need 1 TB of storage.